into your guitar playing and tell yourself one thing, what would it be?
Only a year?
Yes, you've been playing guitar for 1 year.
Oh, you've been playing guitar for 1 year. Okay, yeah. Cool. I thought you meant like a year from now. 1 year ago. If I've been playing 1 year and I can tell myself, it's the classic thing, and it's always been one thing that I've always stood by, is perseverance. 100%. Like there's never been a period of time of playing guitar that's been easy. And there are sections where it's enjoyable and you come on leaps and bounds at the beginning, obviously, that are completely different from now, where you kind of, you rarely see an evolution in your playing unless you're really, really, really working hard for something. So for me, it would be just perseverance and, sitting down and practicing and not derailing off of the fact that it does take time. So that would be what I would say. Just sit down, focus, and persevere with it. Because there's so many times I put it down and was like, oh, I can't be bothered. But, just perseverance.
Yeah, I always find there's something about when you hear like the absolute rock gods and like guitar heroes, like your Tony Iommi's and people like that. When you hear them talk about sort of perseverance and stuff, it sometimes almost feels like not hard to believe, but you know what I mean? When they say, so what's the key to success? And they say, well, work hard. And you're like, yeah but really? Like, yeah. But it's what everyone says, at every kind of level of the industry, right up to Tony Iommi and that,
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a cop-out answer, but I feel as if it's like what everybody else would say as well. But it's just kind of like, it's the obvious thing with anything, right? Working hard on something. I think the true testament that, apart from playing guitar, because I've been playing guitar for so many years now, it's one of those things where I don't notice anything anymore, which is a shame because I don't sit down and practice. But the thing for me is like, the band stuff, the project stuff that I do, it's been about 2 years of one project, and I've had 5 releases, all on physical, all on labels, all contracted stuff, and all, being able to recoup money from it and stuff. And that's because I've been working unbelievably hard on the projects. And that's, the true sign, the new true sign of perseverance for me, because I'm not one anymore anyway. I'm not one to sit down and run scales and try and get better at guitar. Now it's all about trying to release the reason why I started playing guitar, release the actual music. You know what I mean? I
feel like it's very easy to get wound up in all the other complications of, if you ask yourself, why did you pick the instrument up?
100%.
A lot of people, the answer is not like to sit there and, it depends what when I say, why did you pick it up? I mean, as if you're intending to be a professional, not many people pick it up and sort of think, oh, well, my dream is just to play it a bit. And then just, there's always a bit more to, so yeah, it's easy to lose sight of that. But I mean, so I guess this may be actually, funnily enough, maybe part 2 of the question you didn't answer actually, which makes it interesting. Because it wasn't like a specific guitar thing. So the part 2 was, what did you later on have to go back and fix? And I guess this is more a guitar related question, but it could be more about your mindset,
At that period of time, I don't really remember, only for the pure fact that, at that period of time, I think I started to see a difference in my playing. I mean, a year for some people, fair enough, can be like, whoa, look how much better I've gotten, sort of thing. But I started playing when I was like 11 years old. So at that period of time, mixing life and school and everything else into it, guitar at that time was just something to have fun with, because I felt like I wanted to do something like that. But after a year, I wouldn't have been able to figure out what I needed to go back and fix. I would say that just off of knowing how I play now would be to open my mind a little bit more to all the other styles of music that were out there, and maybe kind of not just hone in, which is hard anyway at a young age, because you just want to do one thing, you want to do it. But if I had someone show me like jazz or classical or country or folk music and stuff like that maybe my playing would be completely different to it is now. But I can't, it's a bit of a hard question, that, because I don't really know what I was doing back then that I needed to fix because it was just fun. Do you know what I mean? It was just wholehearted, like, fun. I don't think that there was anything really to fix, because that's how I've become as a guitar player now, right? Because of those early stages. But yeah, I would say maybe just I wish someone had put more music in front of me.
It's funny because the person who asked your question, I can say now because you answered it, was Eric Woolard. Is it Woolard? Country metal guitar player.
Oh, okay.
He plays a lot of country, he plays a lot of metal. He's like a producer as well. So he obviously is someone that's mixed it up a lot and has had those different influences. So, although I suppose one thing I never really asked him was about the country guitar and the metal guitar. Do they sort of interlink? And but I'd be interested to know how much maybe he feels one side of his playing and musicality has benefited from the other. So it's an interesting kind of thing. But funnily enough, you mentioned about sort of working hard about when it comes to like writing music and stuff. I noticed you do a lot of creation of riffs and ideas and stuff that you're putting out there. It kind of drew me back to like when I was chatting to Nick DePiro from Headcave and Night Verses, and I think he's done a few other things as well.
Incredible stuff on his Night Verses. Like, the dude's riffs are crazy.
Yeah. And he's an advocate of just keep writing, that don't kind of stop, because you can get stuck. And I guess my question is, do you have that mindset of, I'm just going to keep writing to keep on the train and make sure that I'm turning stuff out? Or do you ever allow yourself to stop and pause for a second and kind of, I don't know, maybe work on like practicing something or taking in new information? How do you kind of balance that?
I definitely don't stop. I try not to stop anyway. I've actually had a week off of playing guitar, prior to the past couple of videos that I've just released. But I was waiting for a couple of guitars to be delivered. So I just took that as a chance to not play, basically. And then when those guitars up, have some new inspiration and all that sort of stuff. I tend not to stop writing, just for the pure fact that I've got 1, 2, 3, about 4 band projects that I write for. And at the same time, I've only in this past couple of years, maybe in the COVID realm, I started doing a lot more home-based recording, like a lot of people did.
In home base.
Yeah. And home base. At home base. I forgot about, I didn't really feel like going to B&Q, but
banned from 6 stores as of now.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But home recording setup and everything. And I've got this really beautiful thing going on now anyway. But yeah, no, it's weird for the past couple of years, my inspiration hasn't dwindled whatsoever on riff writing. And it was a couple of years ago maybe where I started to get a lot of people saying, making my head grow anyway, like riff master, riff Joss, riff. And I slowly started to kind of phase out the guitar solo stuff, like the shreddy stuff, and be more involved in writing riffs that I know that I could make people like gurn, do you know what I mean? And all that sort of stuff. So no, yeah, I mean, I keep writing just because I have stuff that I want to get out of my head. And it all comes from just small things. Most of the time it's inspiration from bands. I'll be at work or on my way to work and I'll hear a riff, and then throughout the entire day while I'm not listening to music and I'm working, I can just hear a riff, and then I come home and then I record it. So the majority of the time it's just because if I don't record it and get it down, I'll go insane, because all I can hear is the same fucking thing going over and over again in my head. So I'll just put it down and then get it out. And then that's where all the videos come from. That's how I can post daily stuff. The recording of the stuff, even though it's fun in terms of the video stuff, is monotonous. So that's why there's not really many angles and arty stuff and everything. It's just 2 angles. Here's the riff. Here's the song that I'm working on for this project. Let me know what you think, sort of thing. So yeah, I pretty much just hammer it home all the time.
Yeah, well, I mean, you literally one angle on my podcast, so I'd like to have a studio. Yeah. That'd be nice. Yeah, this room would be quite cool. I've got the guitars. I could kind of maybe set up a little.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I can't just be like going around to bands playing in Birmingham. Just be like, do you just want to, like just for an hour and just go and chill at my place?
Yeah.
I feel like you got to be quite pally with them before that. I'd like to do it though. But you said about like how a lot of people commenting like riff master and all these kind of nice things. Do you find that you're sort of swayed by what people say, or when it comes to like what you create? I mean, obviously there is like any metal player, like who doesn't want to write a good riff, but do you feel like without the input of people that follow you, you would be on a different kind of musical path? Do you think you'd still be doing more solo, like guitar solo driven stuff? Or and that's for the record, that's not meant to indicate a sense of like just doing what people like for the sake of pleasing them. But I'm like, I know I certainly think about like what do people want to hear from me? That's something that I kind of am aware of when I'm writing stuff.
Yeah, I mean, what's it called? What do you call it? What Instagram can give you in terms of your self gratification is, endless if you can pull out a decent guitar solo. But at the beginning, yes, I would say that a lot of the stuff I was writing was swayed by people's interpretation of my music. There'd be a lot of guitar solos, and then I come to the realization that a lot of my guitar solos would start sounding the same, and a lot of the runs I would do would be the same, and blah 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 blah, and it would be definitely driven towards what I thought people wanted to hear due to them saying on my Instagram feed or my YouTube feed, I'll do more of this, I'll do more of that sort of thing. Until I started working in the underground death metal realm with the labels that I work with, because it's such a family orientated community. There's, elitists in there, like everything and everywhere. But because of that world and the releases that I've done, I only now write for the purpose of writing the nastiest shit I can possibly write. You know what I mean? There's no guitar solos in any of my music with those bands, not a single one. So now that I'm 32 on the 22nd of this month, it's more like I just have to not care. You just have to not care about it, because if you're meant to do this, then your hard work will pay dividends. If you're not, then you can just enjoy the process and not listen to people. It is hard though, I think I saw a video of a monk the other day, and he said, what was it? He said, people definitely aren't going to like, a lot of people don't like what I do or what I say. And the people that shine the brightest leave the largest shadow. And it's like, people that are in some form of, social limelight will always cast a massive shadow of people saying, oh, don't do that anymore, do this. Don't do that anymore, do this. So I'm just like, fuck it. Like, just write the stuff you want to write and play the stuff you want to play, and have as many weeks break in between posting videos. Who gives a fuck about the Instagram algorithm? Just like smash out a good riff, or write an album and release an album and be like, boom, there's an album for you. So really like long-winded way of answering that.
Well, I just liked how you said family-oriented underground death metal. Like, that is not the sort of... It's not an everyday phrase. I feel like that combination of words in that order has not been said very often.
Literally, I never came to that. I would have never have said that if I wasn't part of it. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy how... And you know what? The people that push your stuff the most and get you out there the most are the YouTube people who just do unboxings of collections, like collection updates. Like the underground death metal scene for collection updates, like, getting deliveries of records and cassettes, like vinyls and cassettes, and they do unboxings, and then they tell you about the bands. that's the shit that really like gets people to notice your stuff. And it was when one big YouTuber done a review of one of my records, one of the EPs I released, that all of a sudden the band started just doing better than I thought it was going to do. And, so I owe it kind of to like these YouTubers that basically just do unboxings of like their collection of records, which is amazing. And those guys, the reason why I'm saying this is because they're such a tight knit community. And they all have nothing but good stuff to say about the bands that they like, which is amazing,
Yeah, there's a lot to be said for community. I'd like to be able to get the podcast to the point where I can start to shine a light on some people a bit more, where like I can sort of throw an audience at someone that I know is great, but I mean, obviously I can to an extent, but I'd like to be able to go to a large extent,
Well, I mean, before we got talking, I was talking about the people that you've had on your podcast. I mean, like, you're obviously doing something good already, because the people that you have on there's a couple of people on there that I even look up to, so it's pretty amazing.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, you don't know, they could have just been the shittiest conversations. Like, I haven't had any back yet.
Hello, how are you?
I saying that, my just tomorrow I'm putting out my second repeat guest, which is Rudy Ayub, the YouTuber.
Oh wow.
So that was cool. That was my first like callback. That was good, because he's just such a laugh, so that was good. But
good.
Yeah. So when you were talking about I liked how you were saying about how, whether you're going to kind of make it or not, as a musician, you said like, even if you're not maybe destined to make it, about still just enjoying the process of it. Which is kind of it's a weird sort of mindset. It's a good one, I think, but it's a weird, it almost sounds, it sort of half sounds like accepting defeat, doesn't it? Like saying, I guess I'll just enjoy the process. But then is that really defeat if you're enjoying the whole thing? You know what I mean? Like it's, I'm not saying you're doing that. I'm just saying it's the sort of process of it it's an interesting, it's a weirdly, like not acceptant, but like, what's the word? Like embracing life and just carrying on and trying to just enjoying it for what it is, sort of thing, which I quite admire.
I mean, is there ever a certain level with music where you've made it or you haven't made it? I mean, yes, there is, in terms of making it, because there are some people in this world that have made it to the point of even full-on touring bands haven't made it. Do you know what I mean? We're talking like, big guys like Slash and stuff like that who have made it. That's the point where you can just like go, okay, I don't need to do this anymore, sort of thing. But the people that haven't made it, like me and even the guys that we were talking about, Dean from Archspire, even though like he's like the massive band now, but they haven't made it. Do you know what I mean? I don't think anybody has failed. I think they're just constantly, even if you're in the worst part of your career that you could be in, as long as you think to yourself, I'm going to keep going, I think that you haven't failed whatsoever. You're just going to continue to look to make it, sort of thing. Yeah,
I kind of you do see people that, especially when you chat to bands, like when I've chatted to the guys from Bleed From Within, a lot of people see them as like a new band, but they've been like working at it for like 15 years or something, I think. And like there are a lot of bands that get there and to where they are in half the time, and not being critical, it's just sometimes it's how life goes, I guess. And
for sure,
they've just stayed at it, and they're and they're still all like relatively young guys, so it's not like they've kind of grafted the whole career only to make it at the end,
exactly.
So they're cool. Bit off topic, what do you make of the Pantera reunion, or Pantera, whatever you want to call it?
I mean, I think it's cool. I mean, Zach was my guy. Zach Wild was the guy that I looked up to. He was the guy that I was obsessed with. So seeing Zach Wild play Pantera stuff is mad. Like, it's really cool. I mean, I dig it. I mean, why not? Like, I just, as I said, there's elitists in every sort of form of the word, in every sort of style of music, in every sort of genre. And I think that people that are going, oh my God, he played The Beginning to Walk slightly wrong. Like, You know what? Who cares? You're not the one on stage. Like, you grab that guitar, get on stage with Phil Rex and like fucking start playing Dimebag's parts and to note for note. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, there could have been so many more other people that would have done it better. Like Wes Howe, for example. The dude is a monster. He's 100% been able to do it. Or Vogue from Decapitated. He could have definitely done it as well. Or Reese, who's playing a Machine Head now at the moment as well. There's like all these people that are like Dimebag influenced that could have done probably a better job than Zach. But Zach was Dime's best mate. So why not have that person do it? So I dig it. I think it's cool. I'm
kind of the same mindset. I remember saying to friends and stuff, like, I would pay a lot of money, especially if Vinny was still alive, particularly, to have seen the 3 surviving members with Zach on guitar. I think my only gripe is I'd like to have seen him just, I know he's got his own guitars, but it's just, I'd love to have seen him with, it doesn't have to be with Dimebag's actual guitar. I know their estate are a bit funny about the whole thing, but like, just playing a like a couple of different Razorbacks, or like, and having maybe like the random
bullseye ones, didn't he? Didn't he have some like bullseye Razorbacks that Dime got made for him?
I think so, yeah. So I'm like, oh, please, like, you could have just go with like the solid state amp or something. I don't know, whatever. Like, just that's my only thing. It's like I would kill to have seen him rock up with like one of the especially
fire
if
out an ML.
Especially if it was actually one of Dime's as well.
That would have been cool.
But as long as it has like the Dime bucket and, you know, the what is it? Is it the 59? What does he have in the neck? I can't remember. He's getting all guitar nerdy now.
I know. Yeah. Whatever was it? Was it the JB and the 59? But then he just replaced the Dime bucket.
I don't know. He had the rails, didn't he? And then he had the sort of the jazz pickup in the neck, I think.
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Are we guitar players?
I don't know.
Something like that.
I do feel like I don't know how. The thing is, I think in your lifetime you've seen a lot more guitar, or spent more time with a lot more guitars than I have. So I'm not quite so clued in a lot of this stuff. Would you consider yourself well versed in like guitar nerdery? You know, like neck profiles, pickup outputs, all this business.
To an extent, yeah. I mean, just due to the fact of playing like hundreds and hundreds of guitars in demos. So I'd say, yeah, to a certain extent, I can definitely get nerdy. It's been years since I've actually gotten nerdy. So, yeah, I'd say to an extent. Like, you could probably throw a couple of guitar questions at me and I might be able to answer them to a decent degree, but it's been years since I've kind of got nerdy about a guitar.
That's fine. I wasn't going to anyway.
What a letdown.
I didn't really. Yeah, I don't know. I figured like guitar questions, like they're kind of it's I don't know. I find them interesting. It depends who I'm talking to. I think. Yeah, I just find there are so many more. It's like we were talking earlier. I was saying how Mark Tremonti's my kind of guitar hero, and if I would sit down with him for like an hour and just chat, I would not ask him about his guitar tone. You know, I could Google that, or I could just kind of look at the settings, or like look at what he's. I don't know.
Yeah.
As much as I know he's into his amps, but you mentioned Wes Howe. He's I'd love to chat to him at some point, but he's a beastly player. I can't get over the riffs that he writes and the leads, but particularly the riffs. I think he's up there at the moment anyway.
I mean, that Alluvial record has got some of the most interesting metal guitar riffs I've heard in a long time. And his guitar tone as well is wild on that. There's like some crazy, it almost sounds metallic. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, no, Wes has been one of my favorites for years and years and years. And he is an unbelievably nice dude as well. Luckily enough, over the previous NAMM shows I've gone to, I've been able to kind of cultivate a relationship prior to going out there, then hang out with him, and then kind of have a friendship with a bunch of artists that I look up to because of the NAMM show, and kind of repeat conversations. And that is the beauty of Instagram and the benefit of Instagram. But yeah, Wes is an absolute machine in terms of riff writing, as you said. Yeah, incredible lead player, but his riffs are definitely the interesting thing for me.
You said about like Instagram, the benefits of that and kind of community, and, you know, meeting these people that, you know, maybe you'd never have the opportunity to meet, not because they're like these global superstars, more just because like they're the other side of the world, and you know, realistically it's just not that easy to meet them. Do you feel like you're sort of better for having Instagram, or or the music world in general, in that sense, is better for having Instagram, or do you think it's kind of suffered for it?
As in my actual musicality, or
I guess more just personally, like, or just kind of, within your sort of in the realm of music and career,
I mean, unfortunately now it's indispensable, right? Like, if you don't have Instagram, no one's going to know who you are unless you're like the best thing since sliced bread. It's like a double blunt sword instead of a double-edged sword. Do you know what I mean? It's like you kind of have to have it, and I hate having it, and you kind of have to post on it, and I don't like posting on it. And that's just due to the fact that I think it takes the musicality out of what you do. But unfortunately, there's no way of me releasing physical material without telling everybody about it on a social platform. I used to love it in my early days. I used to love it when I had Guitar Bros demos and I was working at Anderton's. All the social platforms were like, I was absolutely eating it up, because at that stage, I'd never been in a position that I was in. So I was being very aggressive with my intake of product and information. Whereas now you see it with a little bit more of a cynical eye of being like, yeah, I'm going to post on this because I want everybody to know about my new album I'm releasing, instead of kind of showing off. Do you know what I mean? I don't have the skills to show off. So the people that can, like Stefan Taranto and stuff like that. But the thing is, at the same time, yeah, he's posting these crazy, ridiculous shred licks, but then you listen to his album and that is what his album sounds like. Do you know what I mean? So it's one of those things where I'm like, all for that sort of stuff. But the people that just sit there and shred, which I am, guilty of before, and then you go listen to their records and they're like in indie bands, it's just like, I would rather see everybody promoting music they're releasing instead. But that's just, that's just me, because I've been on social media now for about 9-10 years as a job. Do you know what I mean? And it's only the most recent 3 or 4 years where it hasn't been my job to be on there. So it's a little bit different of a view, I think. Yeah,
I can even think of a few, artists where I know that what they put online is not kind of what you see or what you hear in the music. And I think a mistake a lot of people are making is thinking that every follower is sort of created equal, in the sense that, like, not every follower that if you could gain 100,000 followers, but if you post a funny cat video and they all follow you because of that, they're not, some of them might like your music, but I think the same goes if you post like you say, a load of shred videos and get a load of followers for that, and then go and put out like a pop song. You probably will get some over there, but the conversion will be minimal compared to if you got 100,000 followers through just putting out the music that you do, I think.
Well, yeah. Well, I post. You see it in real time. I posted a couple of videos that were shreddy based, and then I posted a bunch that were like all riff based, and my subscription rate went right up on all the riff videos. And then I posted another lead video. I mean, it must be the Instagram algorithm anyway, because I just don't understand it. I don't get it. I don't know what they want you to do anymore. But yeah, then you get like a bunch of unfollows and no one watches it and no one comments on it and stuff like that. I just don't understand. So I just end up now just kind of putting in the stuff that, releasing the stuff on my personal Instagram stuff that I also release on my band stuff. Do you know what I mean? So it's the same video because it's saying the same thing.
Yeah, I've been trying to fight the algorithm. I think I'm in Instagram jail at the the Like, it used to show my stuff to a few thousand people, and now it just doesn't. And I'm like, what have I done?
Well, the thing is, right, I'll even look now. So I posted a video. When did I post it? I posted a video on 3 days ago, right? And it's had 10,022 views, right? That was after a week of not doing anything. And it wasn't even a new video. It was when I was in my parents' house. And then I post one the next day and it gets 2,000 views.
Well, it doesn't add up because if you think how many followers you've got.
I posted it at the same fucking time as well. And then I've just posted one today, which is for, you know, I'm writing an album, and that got posted just under an hour ago, and it's had 1,000 views. So I can't tell what that's going to do. But I don't get it. It had 930 likes, 10,000 plays. I posted a video the next day with maybe 2 or 3 extra changes of tags in there, and it has 2,300 plays. I'm like, what the hell do you want me to do, Instagram? Like, to make sure that it's constantly, you know, at that average. But I don't get it.
I think it needs to just go back to a chronological, you know, newsfeed where they just show you the most recent thing that's been posted. I get the problem then is obviously people will just start posting loads because then they'll just always be at the top of your newsfeed. But then you'll just unfollow them if you get fed up. So, you know, I think my follow account, I would follow a lot less people if that happened, because I would just see the things that there's lots of things you just follow just for the sake of it, and then you realise I have no interest in that actually, or just don't know that person well enough to bother. I feel like if they did that, then you would just naturally, no one's spent, if anything, maybe they get more time on the platform if you actually have to scroll through and find the stuff you want. I don't know.
It's weird. I know that you get out of it what you put in. I know that for a fact because there was one point while I had a 2-week holiday or something, I can't remember now, a couple of months ago, where I was posting every day, a video every day. And my sub rate, my follower rate, my views and everything was going up and up and up, but it was going up in a steady fashion, and all the videos were getting, a really decent amount of views watched and a decent amount of comments and stuff. So, I think all they ask for you is to be posting, every single day, tag everything, hashtag everything, blah, blah, blah. But, it's unrealistic for the average person. You know what I mean? I come home from work and I want to play guitar, but I don't want to fire out an Instagram video with a high quality video. Do you know what I mean? I want to play guitar, write some music, have some dinner, go bed. So it's just like, I just don't know what they want. It's so hard to gauge.
Speaking of, you're talking about sort of persevering through stuff. I know you had that trouble with your channel. So you got hacked or something, right? Didn't it, a while back? What's that experience like of having that kind of robbed from you and then trying to sort of, because I guess a lot of people might have sort of given up with putting any content out there, having worked hard for one thing and then to have it sort of taken away. What's that sort of experience like?
So the reason why it was horrifying was because we'd just think of all the stuff I'd done because of that channel, even though it was only 60,000 strong. I say only, that was like 4 years of hard work, really hard work from me and the partner I was with at the time. But it was about 60,000 strong. We were averaging around 20 to 30,000 views a video. And every month I was making about $600. And that was just on YouTube. That was it.
Is that, just quickly, is that the split? Because in my head, I didn't want to be too personal, but in my head I was like, I'm really interested to know what the actual dynamic is with
it's not a thing anymore. So ask all the questions you want to ask about it, know. No, that was the total amount. So if we were to split it between me and my partner, it would have been $300 each, which it was. That's what we were doing. But I'll get to what happened. But it was about $300 each. But it was on an incline of going up and up and up constantly. I had companies flying both me and my partner out to different countries. We were doing cool stuff in Germany. We were doing cool stuff in, where did we go? We went to France. We went to NAM, all paid for and stuff like that. And, it was absolutely incredible just on the back of that. To be fair, I completely understand that before that, yes, I was working for Andertons as well. And that's going to pay dividends to having your own social platform. All you know, if you're on Anderton's playing guitar in front of 500,000 people, even if like 10% of that came over to your channel, it's incredible, right? But Guitar Bros demos started to really gather its own community, especially at 60,000. You can imagine that you would start to gather some form of community anyway, even after like 10,000 sort of thing. But after we made 1,000, that was like the best thing I've ever felt. Ever. I was like, 1,000 people follow this channel to watch us talk about guitars. But when we hit 10, 20, 30, and it just kept on going and going and going, I was like, this can be my job. This can actually be this can be a thing for me now. And what happened was I had the ability to take that entire $600 from me and my partner, because the partner at the time was in full-time work. I went down to part-time and focused a lot on Guitar Bros demos and took all of the money and my part-time wage, which made up like a full-time wage essentially. But unfortunately, the guy that I was with at the time, we had a nefarious email come through saying, we would like to give you this amount of money, which was an unfathomably large amount of money, unrealistic large amount of money for a demo video. And it had a PDF attached to it. And unfortunately, he clicked the PDF link, which in turn just downloaded a virus onto that email address, because he was obviously going through the emails for Guitar Bros demos. He thought it was just like clicked on it, got rid of it, and that was it. By the morning, literally by the next morning, all the videos were gone, and then they were just replaced with like Chinese and Korean cartoons. It wasn't even anime, dude. It wasn't even the good shit. It was just like this weird, like some of them, the Chinese cartoons were really like communist cartoons, and it was mad. We were looking through these videos. I was looking them through with my girlfriend, and there was like loads of like Red Star cartoons and like Russian anvil and cartoons. I was like, what is happening? And I was like, oh my God. So YouTube, obviously, because of all those cartoons had copyright on them, YouTube obviously sent a multitude of copyright strikes through. And in turn, the channel came down. So it took us about a year to find a contact that would help us at YouTube get the channel back. And we got the channel back, but because it obviously took that amount of time, my partner decided that he was just going to focus on work and not have anything to do with Guitar Bros demos. And I was just going to take it and continue with it and run with it and start doing as many videos as I can from my home, learn how to have a good setup, recording, cameras. I bought stands, I bought lights, everything. 3 days into it, the channel just disappeared again. And I was like, I don't understand what's happening. So I got to that contact one more time. And he said that he found out that YouTube had marked the channel for termination and not sent me an email. So in turn, what had happened was the channel got deleted fully because of the amount of strikes it had, but I wasn't told about it when YouTube actually gave it back to me. So there was some sort of communication error. And then that was it. You know, the channel was gone for good. The channel was gone forever. Like 4 years of content completely gone. And it was completely insane. It was completely mad. But how I felt, awful, absolutely awful, because I actually had something that had the prospect of being like all these other people that I looked up to and having a full-time YouTube job of just doing video demonstrations, playing guitar every day and making cool content, because I was on the trajectory to be able to do it. And now I'm not. So it was really rubbish.
What's the kind of the stuff that helps you get through that, you know, mentally? What are the kind of things, you know, the sort of thoughts and what do you find is useful, I guess, to help you get through the harder times in that sense?
I mean, ever since then, nothing has really, I've definitely calmed down a bit on the content and the playing and everything, because at that point of time I was so invested in it and I was so on it that every single day was a guitar day, every single day was a filming day, every single day was a do something new day, and contacting companies and distribution companies and all this sort of stuff for gear to do demos on and all that sort of stuff. And there was never a no. It was always, yeah, of course, let's get it out to you, and then you can just send it back when you're done. And it was like, yeah, for sure, blah blah blah. I guess the only thing now is that I'm in a much better space, because ever since that happened, I've never been as good with music and guitar as I was then in terms of my mental state. But the new focus is writing music for physical release and seeing people buy it and seeing people do reviews on it and seeing people really like message my band page on Instagram and stuff and be really fucking pumped about what I'm releasing and stuff. That makes everything feel much better, because now I have a new focus. Do you know what I mean? Just took a couple of years to find what the new focus was, because I started another YouTube channel and thought, right, I'll just try and do this again. But now I just use that YouTube channel as, you know, whatever I post on Instagram, I post on that YouTube channel sort of thing. If people don't follow me on Instagram, they can find me on the YouTube sort of thing. But yeah, I just needed a new focus, and the new focus is, you know, something that I should have done from the beginning, which is write music for releases. And that's kind of what makes everything feel much better.
Mm. Yeah, I can kind of weirdly relate with it. I mean, anyone who listens to this podcast will be fed up of me talking about my old band, but it's kind of, it's, you know, it's a big part of my life for a while, and I left that band, and I can kind of relate to the not necessarily knowing where, like, I know what I want to do. I want to write music, and I want to be involved in that world, you know. Yeah. But knowing how you want to do it and then pursuing that is quite tricky. I find it quite hard to, you know, I know the podcast, I want it to be part of it. I enjoy chatting to, I've always felt like I just enjoyed having proper conversations with people, you know. Yeah. And I figured it's a very good way to start, like, not just in the networky way, but building connections, actually making friends with people, you know, like there's people I still chat to now that I've chatted to on the podcast that I since just kind of, you know, not loads, but we keep in touch, and I'm sure if I see them at a show or at, like, whatever, we'll hang out, you know, which is nice. And then it means when I go and put some more music out, whenever that is, hopefully there'll be something to sort of drive it a bit. But it's difficult finding that. I think the hardest thing is when you don't have that end goal in sight necessarily, you don't quite know what it looks like. It's hard to formulate a plan and get up and do it every day. Yep. When you don't know what you're necessarily working towards. You know you're working towards something, but like I sometimes struggle for motivation with guitar playing, because I pick it up, I'm like, it's not that I don't want to play it, I still love it, and I still do play quite a lot, but it's finding that direction of, like, I think if I knew, okay, I'm writing for this band, or you know, or I want to, I don't know, make YouTube content or something, I'd know what I was doing it for, and then it gives you that, it's having that strong how or why, the strong why, not how. Which I think is quite tricky. If you sort of, I guess you've almost answered it by saying how you enjoy now the creative side. I guess my maybe positive spin would be, I guess maybe you would have wound up doing guitar demos, and then realize, you know, years down the line when you're really into it, that actually I kind of would rather be writing music now. So, I
mean, I fell into all of those guitar demo jobs, whether it was GAC, whether it was Andertons, or whether it was for Boss, or whether it was for Hughes and Kettner. I fell into all of those jobs. I never actively looked for them, whereas this is the first thing where I actively fell in love with something, the underground death metal world, fell in love with all the bands and all the music, and actively went on a search to write music and try and get it out on a label. So this is why I love doing it so much, because, you know, it was the first thing ever where I've not fallen into it. I've actually purposely gone, this is what I would like to do, so I'm going to try and carve out a path in this underground death metal world. And it just so happens that the majority of the bands already knew who I was because of everything that I used to do. which pays absolute dividends, because then they go, oh, I didn't know you've done death metal, and I'll listen to the band, sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? So it all of that early stuff definitely helped anyway. But I'm just now having way much more fun than I have in a long time. So.
Yeah. What's the I know, so obviously I first saw you pop up on the Andertons channel. I think that's probably where a lot of people first maybe saw you. And then through that saw your other YouTube channel, and then just kind of followed you since then. That sounds very kind of, I followed you since then.
No, I get you.
I've certainly seen your face pop up quite a lot. What's the kind of, obviously, like you said, going in front of a few 100,000 people from having maybe not, I don't know what you'd maybe done before all the Andertons videos and things. Is it a weird kind of dynamic to get used to, just being like, was there like an adjustment period of, like there's quite a lot of people watching me now, you know?
Yeah, there was, because before Andertons, I used to be on a YouTube channel by a guitar company called GAC, because I used to work there, the Guitar Amp and Keyboard Center.
Been there once.
Yeah, and I used to do all the videos for those guys at that, and because I started off on that YouTube channel when it was early inception, and then it got up to about, I started at like 15,000, and then it grew to like 60,000, and in that period of time, it was basically just me on there playing guitar. So I had a fan base of people that enjoyed my playing, right? Move over to Andertons, where you've got Pete and Lee and Rob and Rabir, who have got already established styles of playing. And then I come in, I'm the new kid. I don't play like these guys, and I don't talk like these guys, and I don't act like these guys. At the beginning, it was hard. Not because of those guys, but because of the people that were on the YouTube channel, the commenting section. Because, I wasn't used to having hundreds of thousands of people tell me how much they hated what I do, compared to being on the GAC one and thousands of people telling me how much they enjoy what I do. So it was about 3 months of some of the harshest things you could ever imagine being said about you. But after that 3 months, I don't know, they started to, forgive me for all the issues that I caused them. By
you obviously caused them a lot of issues.
I caused them a lot of issues by playing guitar, yeah. And then all of a sudden, that huge audience became my audience as well. And I don't know why it happens. I think they just, people are so quick to judge and then actually go, oh, actually, he's actually an all right person. He seems fine. And then everybody's like, oh, go to NAMM, and they're like, oh, can we have a photo with you? And you're like, well, I guarantee you're one of the dudes that was like, I hope this guy dies. Do you know what I mean? At the beginning. So it was a very hard adjustment period, and I nearly didn't continue doing it because it was very difficult. I mean, I had people say, I hope you get cancer and die right at the beginning of the Andertons thing. And I used to go home crying on the train because I used to have a 4-hour round trip from Brighton to Guildford 5 days a week. Go there, took about 2.5 hours, come home, took about 2 hours. And I put all my energy into this job because I was like, this is going to be nothing but good for me and my career and all that sort of stuff. I used to come home so disheartened and so anxious and so feeling so awful just because of the sheer amount of bad stuff that was said about me at the beginning. But then for some reason, literally, it was one day, everybody just changed their tone. And I don't know why it was. I think that they were just so quick to see someone new on the Andertons channel, something that they owned, something that was theirs, and they loved seeing their people play on their channel, that someone new coming into it was just like, whoa. Do you know what I mean? This is new. I don't like this sort of thing. And then after that, I did Andertons for about 3 years, I want to say 2-3 years, something like that. And it was amazing after everybody kind of was accepting. Do you know what I mean? Got to play with Ariel Posen, got to see a lot of people. Do you know what I mean? Got to play with a lot of people, got to see a lot of people, got to play with Steve Vai because of Andertons. Do you know what I mean? It's like, there was some unbelievable things that happened. And obviously all the NAMM shows and all the events we did, it was really cool after the accepting.
Yeah, it's weird how, I think that's very much reflective of a lot of things in life, how people, they don't like it when someone invades their sort of identity sort of space, the thing that is part of, because, a lot of guitarists like guitar because it's an escape for them, and even a lot of people who have it as a career, and I guess when if you don't fit the mold, you've taken in their eyes probably a bit of their little thing, their little corner of the world,
Yeah.
So I guess they'll be very quick to dismiss or actually be outright nasty.
Yeah.
It's a weird one because like comments like that saying, "Oh, I hope you get cancer" or whatever, stuff like that. It's like, it's funny. It's not funny, but you know what I mean? Like, it's unusual because it's, when you hear a comment like that, you're like, I assume you obviously don't hope that I get cancer or whatever, but it's just the meaning behind it, I think, that maybe is because it's not like you're literally thinking, wow, that person wants that for me. That's weird. I guess it's probably more, I'm kind of assuming a little bit, but I guess it's more about just the sort of the venom behind the comment more than what they're actually saying.
100%. That they're so upset about that I'm playing guitar on a channel that is theirs, that they have to come up with the most vicious thing that they could possibly come up with to deter me from continuing to do so. But all of it has that. All of the YouTube stuff has that. All of the Instagram has that stuff, especially when you start and you just look through comments on stuff that that's not yours. Do you know what I mean? You look at someone's video, you look at somebody's video that they've released, and then you look at all the comments on someone's video and you're like, Jesus, guys. Like, do you know what I mean? This guy's just literally bearing his soul on YouTube, and you guys are just like, ha ha, fuck you. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, God, it's a horrible place, but at the same time, it can give you a career, and it can also just completely stop you from doing anything. So
I never know where I stand on some of this stuff. Like there's a singer from a band who recently got kind of, I guess he got sort of cancelled, I guess is what whatever your stance on the whole cancel thing is. But what I found sort of odd about the whole situation was that it was basically, there were sort of accusations that he was a bit of a bully, basically. I mean, the word bully might almost demean it a bit, that I think the sort of accusations were more sort of being a psychological sort of tormentor as a band leader, I think those are the kind of things that were getting thrown his way. And I remember, because my old, I've seen him on the scene quite a lot, and and then some of the comments were just like from people that blatantly didn't know him, that were just saying shit about him, and I was like, I get it. If you hear a negative thing about someone, you're gonna, that's your opinion of them, because that might just be all you know from them. But like, there were people just commenting really nasty shit, and I get, like, even if he's being a dickhead, I'm just like, you don't actually know the guy, like, so I'm not saying you can't think those things, but just like, do you have to input them? You're not really, like, I saw one comment which was like, don't even know who this guy is, but fuck him. I was like, what? How pointless is that?
Yeah, exactly. Like, how pointless is that?
Like, whatever he's done, I'm not condoning him being a dickhead or whatever. I'm just saying, like, I don't think those comments add anything. Well, I think they subtract, because he's not going to read that and go, I should really pause and reflect on myself. He's going to just read that and be upset, and probably then react even more poorly, and I just didn't know what to make of that whole situation. Like, I'm not sort of going on the whole cancel culture thing. I more mean just the or that kind of topic of conversation, more just the way that people just, with no thought at all, will just throw comments like that.
Yeah, I know a couple of people that have been in that sort of environment as well. And one of them I don't talk to anymore, not because it's out of a fault of me being like, I'm not talking to you. We just don't, talk that much anymore. But the other guy that was being bullied, I guess, I talk to a lot more, because I absolutely love his band and I love what he does. And he's such a lovely person when I met him in London and all that sort of stuff. And when you talk, I know the other person very well, because I used to go to the NAMM show and stuff, the one that's classed as the bully. And I wouldn't have thought that ever in a million years, you know? And then you're like, was he putting on a front? Do you know what I mean? To when we were talking. But I also saw him, you know, around other people, and he was just him. And sometimes it's like, is it when they're in a band situation that they talk to the other members like this? Do you know what I mean? Because I saw them outside of the band, and you're like, well, he's lovely. He's a good guy, and he's a lovely person. But then when you hear about what he's like when it's in a band situation, you're like, fuck that. I wouldn't want to be near him ever. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, you never know until you're actually in the position, or you know that person personally. As you said, like, what is it? What is the classic line? It's innocent until proven guilty, or whatever. And that's the stance that I take on anything. I won't verbally say anything, but I'll be like, well, I'd rather give him the benefit of the doubt, because I don't know what happened. I don't know the guy. And if there's like hard, cold evidence to prove that he did something or said something, then I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, you're not a very nice person. But other than that, I'm not going to put in my 2 cents until I see something that's like, yeah, this guy's horrible. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
I thought it was a weird one, because he kind of he got the same treatment that, like, you know, the sexual predators and all of that, and the and sort of as in like the way people were commenting on his stuff,
like, so negatively.
Yeah, he was getting the sort of treatment as if people had just found out it was Bill Cosby or something. You know? And it's like
one glove.
Sort of, yeah. I can understand, like, because there's definitely a backlash where none of this stuff would get called out, you know, years back. But I never know where I stand in it, because obviously you've got to, you know, if someone's being a dickhead, you've got to, you know, to whatever degree, you know, you've got to, it's got to be dealt with. But yeah, I just felt like that whole thing, I was kind of watching it just thinking, like, you know, I'm sure we've all been bullies at some point in our life, and I'm not saying, you know, I'm sure I've been unpleasant to people, probably more than once, you know, but I kind of think, how many people in that comment section have bullied someone in their life?
Yeah.
Given the way they're commenting as well, probably at least a few. So I'm just like, I don't know, that, you know, he got the kind of treatment. It's like, it was, you know, it's like a very binary thing. It's like you're either bundled in or you're not. And I felt like he kind of got that, which I thought was a bit, personally, I thought was a bit unfair. But then, and that is partly because I sort of know him anyway. So it's like, obviously I'm going to sit in that camp a bit, but yeah, it's a weird one. But yeah, I mean, so there's one more thing I wanted to, you mentioned it, talking about your sort of death metal community and that. Do you collect kind of vinyls and stuff, where you've got do you have a good collection?
Yeah, I would say so.
What's
looking over it now?
Yeah.
I would say that it's small compared to others, but it's only been how long ago were we in lockdown?
34 years ago, something. I don't know. Two? Well, maybe depends which one. First lockdown was about 2.5 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I'd say we've been out of lockdown fully for about a year and a bit, right? Like whatever it is. Yeah. I started collecting after lockdown, or just towards the end of the second one we had in England. And I was spending a lot of my money on vinyl and cassette, because I was going on to these those unboxing videos, or those collection update videos, and finding new bands every collection update. And they would most of these bands rarely stream on Spotify. They'll have a Bandcamp, obviously. Like, the underground community is pretty much built on the Bandcamp side of things. And then their cassettes would be there, or their vinyls would be there. So I would just go, awesome, love the first 2 songs, buy vinyl. Oh, awesome, that first song was amazing, buy the cassette, sort of thing. And then because of that, I've just started to build like a really cool little collection of just underground music. So 90% of my vinyl is underground death metal and underground black metal. There's a couple of heavy hitters in there, like Nile and all that sort of stuff, the more traditional death metal, Cannibal Corpse and everything that everybody knows. I would say 100% of my cassette collection is underground death metal. All bands that you kind of have to find from a link from another band, or on these on these collection updates, or support acts for other underground death metal bands. There was also a festival in is it Norway? The Norwegian Death Metal Festival.
Norway figures, that's
yeah, right, that figures, right. And I pretty much almost bought every band's vinyl or cassette just off of going through the lineup sort of thing, because I hadn't heard of any of them. I was like, I don't know who any of these bands are, so I just bought the lot of it basically. So yeah, I've got really, really proud of my collection, and I've made some really cool friends out in the community because of owning their stuff, and then getting in contact and being like, dude, I love your band, blah, blah. And then they're like, oh, I know who you are. I love your band as well. And you're like, sick. And then you end up doing trades, send a cassette, get a cassette, send your vinyl, get a vinyl. Yeah, there's like, I'm talking to the guitar player from a band called Skeletal Remains at the moment. Awesome band. Sounds like if Revocation were only extreme death metal and didn't have any other input. Those boys are sending me a couple of records out soon, and that's literally just off the back of us having a conversation and just being like, dude, I love your stuff. And he's like, I love your stuff. Here's a record. Do you know what I mean? And that's why I love that community.
Do you ever wonder, like, sort of, it gets to the end of your life, and then someone's reading out the will, and the poor kid that gets the whole death metal cassette collection of unknown bands?
That's what my dad said, because I was inclined to start collecting anyway, because my dad's a collector, but my dad's collection is really eclectic. Like, it's everything. So he was like, when I go, the record collection goes to you because you collect records anyway, but he's got some pieces in there that are like some money, whereas my shit's just not worth a penny. Do you know what I mean? So I've got some rare stuff. I've got some really rare limited edition stuff of bands that are now like much bigger, and they go for like a pretty penny on Discogs and stuff like that, which is like a secondhand market for vinyl and cassette basically. And I've got some really hard to get things, but they're really hard to get for people that want that or know of it, sort of thing. So they're not worth what they're charging.
Those 8 people really want that.
Exactly.
Those 7 vinyls, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. I got a couple of 7-inch records that are like really rare and really expensive. But it's just underground black metal, because they're like DIY released, and there was only like 50, and now they're going for like $300 on Discogs. And you're like, who the fuck is going to pay $300 for this one release of a band that no one knows about? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'd like to collect vinyls. I think I like the idea of collecting them, but I just wouldn't like. I don't actually listen to a lot of music because I teach guitar, and then I play guitar, and it's just I don't spend much time just sitting and listening. And if I'm chilling, I'll be watching a podcast or listening, or I'll be like, I don't know, something else. So it weirdly, music is more coming out of my guitar than it is going into my head. So I feel like it'd be a bit of a waste for me.
Well, that's why I bought that sofa behind me, because I've got my record player to my left, and then I've got my cassette player to my right up there, which is attached to the big speakers that I have here. So I try to purposefully crack a barrel, have a beer, sit on the sofa, put a record on and listen to it. And that's been the most influencing thing I've ever done for writing music, because my intake of music is far more than it ever was. My intake of new music is far more than it ever was. Because, back then I was just listening to the same bands, recycling the same bands because it was a style of music that I liked. But then I found extreme forms of metal and was like, what is this sort of thing? I didn't realize anybody could be heavier than Trivium. Wow, sort of thing. And completely blown away by the artistic level of the underground death metal world, because their sole purpose is to create a vibe and a story and a feeling behind the music, whether it's like trying to create a vibe of just like caustic, disgusting zombies that are fucking tearing you apart, and they write the music to that and have visualization of that on their cassette or their record covers. Or it's a Victorian age like period of time where everybody's diseased and crippled and all disgusting, but they somehow manage to do that. Or my favorite record ever, which I can see here.
Oh, let's get it up on screen.
Yeah,
I can audio describe it for the listeners.
Where is it? It should be next to the same one. Come on, Joss. Here it is. My favorite record ever is by a band called Blood Incantation.
Oh, I know the name.
Yeah.
Oh,
so this record is
it's an Alien.
Histories. Pardon?
You got to describe it first so anyone listening.
Well, that's it. So like they're the whole this band is like the reason why I started doing kind of sci-fi style death metal with my band, Body Asphyxiation Science, was because of this band and another band that I also have the record for. And those two bands do sci-fi progressive death metal with like ethereal soundscapes, and basically when you listen to it, it sounds like death metal written in space. Like, or what you would assume it would sound like if I was to go take a spaceship into space and write death metal, then come back.
It's just silence.
Yeah, right? But they just do it so perfectly, and I'm obsessed with aliens. Like, massively obsessed with aliens.
Would you, if Elon sends us to Mars, would you get on the spaceship?
I'm getting on it. Yeah. I don't care if I die. If it's a non-return mission, I'm getting on it.
What if there's no aliens though?
Well, then I died for a cause. a bloody good one. I'm obsessed with aliens. I'm obsessed with sci-fi, and I'm obsessed with like the horrible, crappy accounts that the Southern American states have when they think that they've seen aliens. And I love it because you're just like, dude, you're just shitting out of your mouth. There's nothing of worth coming out of your mouth, but it's amazing to hear. I got taken up in spaceship and alien went by my behind, and you're just like,
next morning I woke up dead.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But they're so blasé about it that you're like, no, that didn't happen. Because they're like, and the alien was standing in front of me with a pick and it poked me in the face and I started bleeding and it was talking like bleep, bloop, blab. And you're like, this is too perfect.
Stop
like, you're
doing
an
meth.
idiot. Yeah, it's just, but I love all of that stuff. And I love one of the other things that I love is the pure fact that Tom DeLonge was like the main spokesman for like people wanting to know about aliens.
What is it about Toms and crazy shit? It's Tom Cruise and Scientology.
Yeah, dude. I live in Haywards Heath, right? And in Haywards Heath, you're really close to a place called East Grinstead. And in East Grinstead, they've got one of the main hubs for Scientology there. And you can go to the M&S in East Grinstead and see Tom Cruise. It's mad. Yeah, Tom Cruise.
One of the best stories from Birmingham was Tom Cruise. So Smethwick, Birmingham is known for being not great. Sorry, listeners from Smethwick. Actually, my friend Josh from Smethwick, I think. But
I don't like
Tom Cruise came to Birmingham, and his BMW apparently got stolen and was found the next day in Smethwick.
Amazing. Amazing.
And the other thing is there's a Scientology centre near where I live. It's about like probably a 2-minute drive from where I live. I kept driving past like, whoa, that's a fancy building. And then I read the actual, they got money. There's a lot of money there. I don't know if who's like airdropping them money or whatever. Or
it's just a crazy religion created by rich people, right? But it's just like, and then apart from that, if you want to join, you have to pay a fee as well. So it's like, I can't say too much because I live near them. Do you know what I mean? If they see this podcast and they come for me, I'll be done for.
Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of, I genuinely don't know how many Scientologists exist in the world.
I know. There must be, it seems like they're all just rich people, famous rich people for some reason. But here's a quick story, not to take loads of time up. Here's a quick story. My dad, he's an electrician, right? And he used to work for a company. I can't remember what the company was called, but he got put on a job at a Scientology place. But the boys, the three of them, didn't know that it was a Scientology church they were doing stuff for. So they turn up to this job, and it's just a simple requirement of doing, I think it was like just relighting some sections of the church, you know, simple stuff for electricians to do. So they were like, my dad and these two other work people went there and said, you know, it was a quotation day. You know, when you turn up, you say, this needs to be done, this is how much it's going to cost, and we'll need these tools. And they were like, yeah, cool. So this is how much it is. We can start tomorrow. We just need to go home and grab the tools. And then we can come back and we can get it done. And the Scientology guys were like, oh, well, you know, we've got tools. Can you do it today? And we'll pay you that for today. And they were like, well, yeah, if you've got the tools, we can start in the morning. They were like, yeah, cool. Literally within an hour or so, 2 hours, the guys hand delivered all brand spanking new tools, like brand new tools, all cased, all boxed, all uncharged, all brand new tools for the three of them so that they could get the work done. They got the work done, but at the end of the day, when they were leaving, they were having a massive barbecue for these three lads, my dad and these two electricians.
Oh, wow.
And then it turns out that in the end, it was just a massive thing. Not that they were doing it just for that purpose, but the barbecue was just to show them how much it would benefit them to join as Scientologists. And they even let them, my dad and the two others were like, no, thank you. You know, it's not our thing. It's not for us and everything. But the Scientologists still let them leave with all the brand spanking new tools, all the double pay rate and everything. So wow. I can only assume that they're very, very well off, and seems like nice people, just a bit delirious, I think.
Yeah, I did wonder. So I wonder if I walk in, if they just be like, if you join, there's a sign up bonus of 10k. And just be like, oh, I could be swayed for £10,000.
Yeah, all hail the aliens. Yeah, for sure. I'll be singing the aliens' praises.
Yeah, we were talking about as another podcast, I was talking to people about sending 7 strings into space. And just getting back loads of ones and zeros, you know, binary, but obviously ones and zeros on the guitar being, yeah, you know, you actually get some very sick riffs written in binary. Anyway, it's devolved into nonsense now, so I'm gonna probably at my own sort of. I probably directed that somewhat. So,
Joe, I also love to babble. I'm an absolute babbling brook.
Nice. Okay. Well, let's. I've never heard babbling brook. That's a good one. So I need a question for the next guest to start the podcast, which is sometime next week, I think.
Nice.
Can't remember.
Let me have a quick think. I reckon we could do it on the basis of what I'm doing with my musical career now. Mm-hmm. And I could say, if you had the choice to either... Well, the thing is, I don't know what your guest does.
Yeah, you got to keep it open. Ask about Scientology.
Oh, yeah. Guitar or Scientology?
Yes.
I guess... because of the demo work and everything that it's come with, and then here we go. So if you had the choice to be able to choose a career in doing guitar demonstrational work and all the mod cons that comes with that, or you wouldn't be known for yourself, but you would be known to be part of a band and releasing music on physical platforms, which side would you choose more? Which side would you lean towards more? Being a demonstrator or being part of a band?
That's cool. I was, when we said you went guitar or Scientology, the first question that came to mind was, what's more likely to get you laid?
Probably Scientology, because they're incestuous.
Oh, God. Or just offend. That's another group I'm not going to have listening to my podcast.
Yeah. Thanks, Chels.
I can't remember. There's probably a few that won't listen. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe we've got some Scientological listeners. Yeah. So I also need you to recommend an artist. You've obviously already mentioned a few, but you have to narrow it down to one.
Narrow it down to one artist to check out. That's Poo Poo Bum Bum. That. I've got so many bands that I want to say right now.
Given that you've said so about your massive collection, I'll give you three. That makes it easier. Because normally I say one, but you've clearly shown an affinity to quite a lot of music, like underground bands. So it'd be cool to.
So not so much as an underground band, because they're pretty much well known now. Anyway, they're still underground, but yeah. Blood Incantation. The album that I just put was if you want to listen to their death metal record. But if you listen to this record, which is called Time Wave Zero, this is essentially just an atmospheric synth album. Absolutely incredible to listen to if you just want to chill.
You didn't need to read the name, actually. I could read Blood Incantation from that.
I know, right? Look at that.
Legible twigs that have been thrown on the floor.
Twigs, yeah. So, Blood Incantation. Mm-hmm. Here's another awesome one. Try and read. You won't. Do you have any idea?
Wait, give me. Is that Cannibal Corpse?
No.
Wait, hang on. Let me have another. Give me another guess. It starts with an O.
Yeah.
Offer.
Oh, nearly.
Yeah. No, I'm lost. Off somewhere.
So this is a band called Of Feather and Bone.
Okay.
Yeah. The record is called Sulfuric Disintegration. If you want to listen to just like the most crushing form of war metal you've ever experienced, I'm talking like Sulfuric Disintegration. It sounds like the music. It's unbelievably heavy. So Of Feather and Bone, that's another one.
Okay.
And my last one. Where is it?
Let me try and read this one as well.
This one will be really easy for you, though, I reckon.
Okay.
So, maybe not. This is a pretty record.
Well, that looks cool. Right, let's go for this one. Oh, it's all because it's in what's the shiny gloss? That's Obituary. No, it's not them. No, it wouldn't be them, would it? They'd have a. Does it start with an O?
It starts with a W.
I have no clue. What?
So
yeah,
this is a band. This is a band called Worm.
Okay.
This is a band called Worm. They just released this. This is a record called Blue Nothing. They also released a record before this that kind of shot them into the limelight, which is called Foreverglade. I guess it's death doom metal, but with like old school 90s influence and loads of shred guitar solos in there. This one's a little bit more rooted in black metal with the death doom in there. But that's a band called Worm. They're all underground bands. I mean, I could keep going. There's so many bands that I would love to just tell everybody about. But yeah, once you get to one of these bands, it will kind of do what it did for me. Give you another band suggestion, and you can just keep going.
Can we just really, really quickly have a quick game of guess the metal band from the logo?
Oh, dude, yeah.
Just give me like three.
I'll do an easy one to begin with then.
Okay.
Here's an easy one.
Creeping something mulch.
Yeah. No, what would mulch in this?
Awful.
Awful mulch. No, that's my mate Dave's band. Mm-hmm. This is Coffin Mulch. Coffin, not awful mulch. There's Dave there, my good dude.
I'm just laughing because in my head it said my mate Dave's band, you know, in the I've just completely misread that.
yeah. Coffin Mulch, my mate Dave's band. So that's the easy one for you.
Okay. That wasn't that easy.
Pardon?
I got mulch. I could see mulch. I thought maybe it was munch or something, but
oh, dude. Unless you know the band, this is like, I'll leave that one to last because that's like extremely difficult.
Okay.
And then let's have a quick look. I'm just gonna have a quick look just to see what a good band to choose would be.
Give me like a medium difficulty.
All right, let me see if I can get a medium difficulty. This is a new one. Where's the band logo? No, that's too difficult. We'll get there.
Give me a couple difficult ones, it'd be funny. I'll take that one as well.
All right, here's one. This one's awesome. Okay, so this is a really difficult one. This is a band from Japan.
What? I can't read.
English band.
I was going to say, I can't read Japanese.
Yes, not only can you not read Japanese. The record, so here we are. So the cover is quite intense, so I'm just going to show you the band name.
There's a Y in the middle.
No.
It starts with an R.
Starts with a P.
Okay, I'll just tell you what. To me, it looks like does it end with a Y?
That ends with a T.
I have no idea.
This is a band from Japan called Pharmacist.
Oh, I got the A.
Yeah, you got the A. That's
There's no way this is Pharmacist.
That's a really good band.
Okay.
Those guys are pretty intense as well.
I thought you were going to give me like Japanese script in death metal font. I was like, that's a double whammy if I have no chance.
Let's have a quick look. This is an easy one before we go on to the final difficult one.
Okay.
So this is a really easy one for you. Probably my favorite record I own anyway.
Something sermon.
Yeah.
Crypt sermon?
Yes. Yes. You got it. Crypt sermon. What was it? The Ruins of Fading Light. Incredible record. Very, very rare. And look at these boys. Yeah. He's holding a sword. Very cool.
Are you in a metal band?
I know.
Are you in a metal band, or do you just reenact battles?
Yeah, yeah. Right. So this is probably one of the most up and coming death metal bands at the moment. They just got off tour with the Acacia Strain, and they also just got off on tour with Cannibal Corpse as well. Okay. Which was like their first proper big tour. Unless you know who it is, you've got no chance.
I've seen Acacia Strain things pop up because I think Malevolence got announced for a tour with them a while back.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I might know, but try it.
So I'll give you the album title. The album title is called Pornographic Seizures, right? And this is the band logo.
That looks like a really great roller coaster.
Right. Can you get like the first letter?
Is it a C?
No.
There's got to be like an O in there because, I mean, of all the spaces, or an A.
Yeah, there is an A. I don't know how to spell it.
It's not gonna. Oh, I can see an A. There's an R. Is that an R, or is it just like loads of lines put together?
No, there's no R. The first letter is S, and the last one is G. Yeah, literally. And do you know what's crazy?
I can see. I mean, I could make an S out of those lines. I mean,
yeah. And do you know what's crazy? They're a band that's out on Century Media now as well.
Oh, wow.
Which is crazy. So they're a big band now.
Who are they?
This is a band called Sangwa Sugarbog.
Oh, I've heard the name, but I was never going to get that.
Yeah, that
might as well have been in Japanese text, wouldn't it?
I know, right? They have their logo has always been the same mess of just stuff going on. That's the band called Sangle Sugarbug, But yeah, that's just some of the relatively easy names to see from my death metal collection. Dude, when you get into the black metal stuff down at the bottom, no chance.
Right, well, I've got to go and teach guitar in not too long, actually. So
enjoy.
We can, have you got anything you want to plug just to get it out there for the obligatory plug?
With all of this talk of my bands and everything like that, just quickly before you go then.
I love the chair as well.
Thank you. I'd love to plug just quickly the projects that I work on as hard as I do. So the most recent release that I did was with a band my project called Alucard, which is a Castlevania themed brutal death metal band. Okay. And the album is called Tepesh, which is this record here. Obviously you can buy it from me or you can buy it from the label, which is called Stump Grinder Records. That's brutal death metal, all about Castlevania. And then obviously right now the most important band to me is Body Asphyxiation Science, which is doing really well at the moment, and we just released Gravitational Blood Art, which is this record here, which is a 4-track EP of technical / brutal death metal. And there's a couple of releases that you can't get anymore, unfortunately, which was Space Adaptation Syndrome. Check out Body Asphyxiation Science, and another project called Whalebone, which is like a instrumental doom metal band that I do with my friend Matt. But other than that, check all that stuff out, because that's my consistent releases. And I've just released a split with Body Asphyxiation Science on a label called Gurgling Gore, with a band called Thorn, which is doing really well, pretty much sold out already, but there are still some copies at Dry Cough Records, which is a UK distribution company. But other than that, that is what I would like to plug.
Wicked. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Oh, dude, thank you very much for having me. I'm happy that I finally got on here instead of, kicking my lazy ass into gear.
That's all good, man. I've had a good time.
Good. Me too.